Before we begin, thank you very much to Jesus Prime for joining my Patreon campaign. Very appreciated. Always appreciate the support. Keeps the channel going, keeps everything online, and keeps me going on a daily schedule, which is well over 600 videos a day now. And right now I'm doing 2 a day, which is insanity. But you guys pay the money. I will do whatever I can for you. Speaking of my patrons, my top level patrons, I now have the credits updated for the month. Sorry, it took a little bit longer than usual. But you'll also spot a new clip from our live on Twitch RPG series, scheduled conflicts. I like posting little highlight clips in there just so you see the antics we get up to. So stay tuned to the credits. There's a little bit of comedy in it for you. Alright, so today was Hasbro Pulse Transformers stream, which means we got a ton of new reveals and a ton of new things to talk about. Before we go anywhere, I think I'm going to mention this. It is extremely cool that they got 6.0 in, not just to be like part of one big reveal, but like actually had him as like the third chair of the show. I thought that added a lot to it. He did a great job. And I do think when you're doing something like a fan stream thing, it is really important to have, fans on there, like notable members of the community who can help get excited and show like how a real fan is responding to these really cool things coming out. So, good choice for Hasbro, and yeah, good choice. Don't hold your breath waiting for me to get that phone call. I am still convinced I am on Hasbro's blacklist. Plastic Addict will do that. But for now, let's get into what they actually did reveal and all the things that we are going to be spending our money on for the next few months. So for starters, there are brand new Nitro Concept X1000 Transformers Edition chairs, where you can get a Autobot Edition, a Decepticon Edition, and an Optimus Prime Edition. Even though the Autobot edition seems to have more on with Optimus Prime than the Optimus Prime edition, but that's the funny thing about these gaming chairs. Now, if I hadn't just gotten a very nice chair from eWin, then I probably would have gone for one of these. So I'm sure these are expensive. But it's cool for those who just really need to have everything Transformer branded. Oh, and hey, we've got a brand new Transformers game coming out. So that'll be perfect for you streamers out there who want to show your Transformers love. So yeah, cool. Chairs. Go check out my review of this chair, by the way. There's a discount code if you want your own somewhere in there. All right. Robosen had yet another converting Optimus Prime. So this one is pretty much exactly like the old one. It seemed to do what the original one did. With the advent of it's just a lot smaller and thusly more affordable. The previous one was over 1,000. When all is said and done, this one keeps it around 700. So if you like the function but you didn't like the price tag, and get it cheaper for the sake of it being a little bit smaller than it used to be, which I think is a good call on Robosen's part. It's still beyond what I'm willing to spend on something like that, but it's really cool that they're doing it. I was really expecting the Grimlock that leaked, but apparently we're going to sit tight on that. And then, I'm not sure why Pulse dedicated time to this one. I thought this one was announced a long time ago. Okay, whatever. The Elite version's out. That's the point of it. Let's get into actual toys that they actually revealed that we can buy at Walmart soon. So the obvious one was Bumblebee. It is a repaint of the original Laserbeak, because Laserbeak showed up as a pink Bumblebee, so they did that one first. And I kind of like when they do the left field choice first rather than like the most obvious one, because the first one's going to sell because it's a brand new mold and people are going to buy up the brand new mold no matter what it is. And now they're going to buy this one because it's a Bumblebee. I'm not terribly big on this core class figure. I think there's some proportions and limitations to it that make it a little bit unfavorable for me. The battle mask is a nice touch, so it's not just a straight repaint. There is actually a little bit of new tooling in there for you too. But yeah, nice tiny little Camaro, nice tiny little Bumblebee, perfect for storing on a busy, cluttered desk. Not that I would know anything about a clutter. Let's move on. The first big reveal for me was Studio Series Brawn. which they mentioned in the stream was a little bit morbid that they actually did brawn. And I was thinking to myself, no, morbid would have been including a 3mm port on his left shoulder for a blast effect to attach to. That would have been morbid. That would have been one step too far. As it stands, this is just a really nice tribute to a very, very, like, a very cool G1 character. I always liked Brawn. I always liked how tough he was despite how small he was. And it looks really good. It looks really good. The truck mode looks really, really good. Yeah, this one's really kind of exciting. I want to see how this one shakes out. He looks really solid. This should be another great addition to the deluxe mini-bot. Still waiting for Gears. Gears was on track in Kingdom. And now here we are 2 series later. Still no Gears. But it is nice to see that even if this is Studio Series, that they are continuing this trend. They actually made a mention that Studio Series has painted windows on their G1 characters, which is a nice distinction to point out. And yes, personally, I do really prefer how they look, because I don't like how translucent looks. You can see all the robot guts inside, and then fragility, etc. You know my shtick by now. There's a fun little Easter egg in how this toy is engineered. You can actually leave the legs untransformed, and it has the same shape and profile of the original toy. That was a funny little feature. So I think, accidental, sure, but I do think it's hilarious. What else did they announce? Cliff Jumper for the Gamer Edition series. This one was no surprise, of course. It's a Bumblebee toy, so it's going to get retooled into Cliff Jumper. There's a lot of weirdness going on here. So they excused Cliff Jumper being in Gamer Edition because he was in the DS game, but the head comes from Fall of Cybertron, even though they're trying to stick to War for Cybertron for this line, apparently. That's what I've gathered from the way they talked about this. That's not a confirmation or anything. They didn't mention anything of it. But yeah, pretty obvious that they would do Cliff Jumper at some point. I still haven't gotten the Bumblebee in hand, so I don't know exactly how it is. I want it to at least feel good when you play with it and when you transform it, because I've not been big on how they handle the chest. There's some inaccuracies in the legs, things like that that kind of take it down a notch for me. I'm kind of hoping that the in-hand is at least fun. And if it is, I'll probably pick up the Cliff Jumper, because this actually wears it pretty well. And I still really like the vehicle mode in this one. Like, it's super sci-fi. I really like it. I'll say it again, because it's always true, it looks like a gaming mouse. I feel like if the High Moon Games had done that, if they're like a Bumblebee vehicle mode that was like actually a gaming mouse, I think that would have been great. I think that would have been perfect tie-in. All right, moving on. The big one for me. I think of all the reveals, this is the one that was the most exciting to me. At least for the ones we got to see in like physical copy. So, War for Cybertron Megatron. I absolutely loved the deluxe they came out with in Generations. Probably one of my favorite toys of that entire line. This is not letting me down. To get that design in a larger scale, the darker tone of gray, I do agree, looks a lot better on the design. It's got just enough of those purple energon lines running through it to really hit the aesthetic of this series. Yeah. Oh, I'm loving how this thing looks so far. He has the swappable arm thing too. So I'm guessing if you just have this collection of like detachable arms that you can, you just plug any of these weapons on at the end of these arms. So like it's one of those, the more you get, the more you can do kind of gimmicks. I kind of wish they did what they did with the axe for Megatron, for Optimus, and had this like separate out, but it doesn't look like there's any point where you can hold that axe or that mace any differently than that. That's a little bit weird, but is what it is. So in the vehicle mode, my only disappointment here is the fact they went with the hover tank version of the layout. The original toy had a really cool benefit of being able to flip the treads out and actually have like a normal look, a more standard mobility tank. Here it is trying to look like the hover tank, but you can see like there's nothing really behind those side treads, so it just kind of looks like a hovercraft with a broken skirt, and I'm not entirely sold on that. But the vehicle mode as an overall look still has a really nice look to it. Still looks really, really cool. Really want to get this one in hand and see how it feels, because, yeah, it'll be great to have one of my favorite Transformers in a larger size. Yeah, it's looking good. Gamer Edition continues to be really interesting. They let something slip. They kind of let something slip where it sounded like that the reaction toys might end up as Gamer Edition toys, which I've suggested in the past on this channel would make sense. So it seems like they might be going in that direction, but we'll see. Moving on, Studio Series Rhinox. Now, I should have pulled the right comparison photos. Give me 1 second. We can do that, because I have that ability. I'm back. Did you miss me? Alright, so here's the production photo for Rhinox. Heavy silver paint job, a lot of splattered on and airbrushed bronze color. And then the Rhino mode, I'm not entirely sold on the Rhino mode. It does look like a Rhino wearing a lot of just like raw iron armor, which is actually kind of a cool look. It is in the rear section where everything kind of looks broken apart that I'm not entirely sold on this toy itself. I'm also not sold on deco. Yeah, so here's the final colors that the toy is going to come out in. The silver has been pulled back dramatically, but it does just kind of come across as just like a flat gray robot with a little bit of brown on it. And I'm not entirely sold on this. I don't know why the designers of the movie, and then thusly Hasbro, all kind of got together and decided we need to make the deco of all these new Maximals as bland and unappealing as absolutely possible. Don't add any extra colors in there. Try, just put as much gray and silver as you can. This, in the hands of a customizer, is going to look absolutely gorgeous. In the hands of Hasbro, this thing looks absolutely boring. This is why Sixo gets invited and I don't. This thing needs a lot more paint. This thing needs a lot more color. In fact, if you look, they took out a lot of the brown color. The lower legs don't have any of that brown at all anymore. They just kind of turned it all gray. They stripped color out of it. It's a disappointment. I hope these get repainted at some point into some kind of like premium deco, even if it's just something they imagined, because there's a lot in here that really could shine. They're just not trying to do it. All right, I accidentally clicked the wrong tab, so you can see what the next slide is. We have Optimus Prime from Rise of the Beasts. So they categorize this as a partial. We call them retools. They categorize this as a retool because it's reusing wheels, and I can't remember, but it's reusing one other component from Bumblebee Optimus Prime. But essentially, that is it. Everything else is completely new tooling. It might borrow some engineering cues from the Bumblebee Prime, but this is almost entirely its own creation, which is actually really, really cool to know. Yeah, it's got the weapon that you can hold in the hand or mount onto the wrist. So, like the original Bay movies, it's got his arm cannon. The vehicle mode looks fine. Redistributed some of the kibble to the back of the side of the truck for the legs. So the legs, I guess, are have a chance of looking a little bit cleaner. The stock photo guy forgot to flip the arm panels down. That's the front of Prime's shoulder. You're supposed to flip that down and show the rest of the side of the vehicle. And it does look better that way if you want to go take a look at the actual screen caps at tfw2005.com, or you can go watch the panel for yourself. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I do like the overall look. I'm not entirely a fan of these big, huge hinges that are going to be sticking out the side of the vehicle, but it is what it is. It might be a fun toy. It looks like it could at least be a fun toy to transform. All right, so I'm gonna give it that credit on that, and I will look in anticipation for this toy. Now, to this point, I have not seen any studios. The only Studio Series Rise of the Beast toy I've seen is Air Razor. I have not seen Cheetor in store. I have not seen any of the mainline in store yet. So I'm just kind of like sitting on my heels, just waiting for my turn to get these toys. I saw that Wave 2 Rhinox was sighted. I'm like, I haven't even seen Wave 1 yet. What is going on? Fingers crossed. I should see it eventually, right? Eventually. So let's move on to the Amazon exclusives, because this was also really exciting. We saw these already. I talked about them on the news roundup yesterday. But we have a 2-pack of Starscream. There's me going too fast. Minor Megatron and Senator Ratbat. We talked about this 2-pack already. It looks brilliant. I love the idea of putting these two together, who become this kind of like, corrupt evil force on Cybertron. But this is when they were humbler things. Just a humble senator and a miner wishing for a better place in his existence. Also, Pickaxe. I would not be shocked if this mold turned into Straxus at some point. I'm, like, shocked here. The Siege Megatron mold is like over 5 years old at this point, and they're still getting it out there. And there's a bunch of new parts on here in order to get the Minor Megatron aesthetic. I honestly think this is the best use of this mold so far. Now, I will admit, drill tanks that don't have a drill encompassing the entire front of the vehicle don't make any sense in a real-world application, but this is Cybertronian, so who knows, might work differently. I love Ratbats. Ratbat's just kind of a flying thing, but it doesn't really shock me. It's a Cybertronian vehicle, and it's Ratbat. He doesn't really need to turn into anything else. If anything, a compact vehicle mode kind of makes sense for him eventually becoming a cassette to me. I do like how the head is sculpted to flow really well with the top of the vehicle. That's actually a really nice touch. For me, it's more about this mold has some really good wings, and that's what you need for a Ratbat toy, and the Senator Ratbat has really good wings. I had the original Deluxe that Takara did. It's one of the most beautiful redecos I've ever seen on a Transformer. I'll be happy to get this one again. Again, needs a little bit more gold in my opinion, but that's what toy hacks are for. So I'll get gold on him in one way or another. They showed some comparisons between Siege Megatron and the Minor Megatron too. How is it the one that works in the mine is the cleanest this Megatron has ever been? That's really not fair. That's really not fair. But I digress. The other 2-pack was shown off, and this is the one that kind of threw everybody off. So it is, Orion Pax back when he was just a data manager, and then it is, or I can't remember exactly what they call him. He's basically a file clerk is what he was. And then Senator Shockwave. If you told me today I would be pre-ordering 2 toys of Senators, I probably would have been more than confused. But so there's some weirdness here. So like Orion Pax, we're talking about, obviously it's a retool of Siege Hound. So they're continuing to refuse to release that Earth Mode one. How long ago did they reveal the Earth Mode Hound and it's still not out? Like, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Like, there's things that were announced after that toy that came out later. I mean, I think Hound was announced, and then, like, Nest Bone Crusher was announced later on. Nest Bone Crusher has already come and gone. I can't even find it anymore. It's weird. It's really weird. But that aside, there's some weirdness to this. So, number one, they did kind of hint that Orion Pax was going to get another go-around, and it was probably going to be a body that was more expected by fans and more familiar. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure which one he meant, because it's been a long time since I read those comics, so can't quite recall offhand. But he did hint that a more proper Orion Pax was coming out, because this one's kind of a hodgepodge of different design elements and not quite representative of the original Optimus, the original Orion Pax from IDW. The one next to him, that took everyone off guard. We're getting another Siege Tetrajet reuse, and this one is a little bit odd. So it does make sense because Senator Shockwave was some kind of jet because he had wings coming off of his arms. And he had these big shoulder pylons, just like the Seekers did, so that makes sense in his original design. He had a lot of different color schemes in the comics. So they went with the one that he had in his final appearance. Okay, I will give you credit for that. I'll also give you credit for redoing that mold so extensively. Now, I would have really been like over the moon here if they had actually redone the front end, but that's, they needed the shoulder things for the character, so I kind of see where they came from here. It is a goofy looking vehicle, but it is a Cybertronian vehicle. It doesn't have to totally make sense. I'm glad they at least put this much effort into making it look different. It doesn't look bad, it just looks strange. Weirdly enough, Amazon flipped, when I ordered mine, Amazon had the prices of these two-packs reversed, and I'm kind of waiting to see them if they correct that or not, because right now it might be possible to get both of them for the price of the cheaper pack, if you split it between Hasbro Pulse and Amazon, but we'll see. I'm expecting it to get corrected. Moving on, this is where they did their pipeline reveals, the stuff that is on the way, but they can't show physical yet. Now, we know they absolutely could show physical product at this time. Just for weird, like, toy industry reasons, they choose not to, and it gets frustrating for us, kind of waiting for them to release the things we've already seen, or things that are very obvious. Obvious like Snarl. Why do you have to hide what Core Class Snarl is going to look like? Because that seems pretty obvious to me. I'm not entirely sure why this one is a weird one. But hey, it is whatever. Next stream, we're going to see it. So, which means next month, we'll see a full Volcanicus reveal. Next up was Bombshell, another very obvious one, because they did the other two Insecticons, so we're going to see the third. Now, interesting enough, this one wasn't a Legacy, this one I don't think was Legacy Evolution. I think this was slated for Legacy Uni, whatever the UNI is going to stand for. United, Unity, Universe, University. They're all going to college. I don't know. So the fact that it's going to roll in kind of has me feeling like, is next stream actually going to reveal Wave 1 of the third part of Legacy's trilogy? Because that would be out of left field. That would be good to suddenly say, hey, next series. But I digress. Let's show some of these others. Strong Arm from RID 2015. I love Strong Arm and her design. Really upset that she never got better than a Warrior Class toy. And I really liked her Warrior Class toy. So I'm really eager to see what they do with her once she makes this one. If I get my way, this is eventually going to get repainted into an homage of Smallfoot from GoBots as well, because female truck. We'll see. We'll see. Or better, even this might be finally how we start getting more accurate female Autobots from the Search for Alpha Trion, because I believe Firestar was supposed to be a truck. So this might be the beginnings of that. So we actually have some decent retool options here. Aside from the fact I really just want her as a toy. Detritus. This is like, someone at Hasbro is taking a challenge of how long can we delay releasing Earth Mode Hound. And they're doing a really good job of it. So you're telling me that Earth Mode Hound has to be a Target exclusive. The 84 character. The character that was in the first episode of Transformers. He has to be in the subline, the exclusive line. But Detritus, keep saying Detrius. It's Detritus. The random e-hobby repaint of Hound, that's going to be a mainline release. Okay. We'll try that, I guess. Another girl bot who got a character figure announced, Shadow Striker from Cyberverse. Always upset that this character did not get a proper toy. I'm not even sure she had like a proper Warrior Class toy. If she did, it was an over-gimmicked one. And it definitely wasn't representative of her design in the show. The asymmetry that makes her so unique. Now, I'm really curious if they're just going to go with her, like, pre-Frankenstein look, or if they're actually going to work in all these asymmetrical parts, because that would be a lot more work for the toy engineers. It'd be more work in the assembly and the molding process, but it's really what her proper characterization is. Now, I think you're doing her a huge disservice if you do not do her the way she looks in this photo. We move up in size to go to Bludgeon. Now, we've already seen the prototype. We know Bludgeon's going to be a Tarn retool. No shock there. If they're going with this color scheme, it's a nice balance of Bludgeon's colors, which can go wrong very easily, but this is not too bad of a job. So we'll see how that final toy looks when it's ready. We got a name for Trash Master. We saw a while back the Voyager class Junkion toy in prototype form. It didn't have a head, so we didn't get a good look at it, and it was in prototype colors. But it definitely turned into a trash collector. It turned into a trash truck. The weird thing here is that there's really only one more, like, there's other trash trucks and Transformers. There's one that briefly appeared in the movies. There is, of course, animated Wreck-Gar, but this is already going to come out in a very animated Junkion colors. But if they do it as an homage to that at some point, I would not be shocked. But yeah, we have a name. Trash Master is not the most thrilling name for a Voyager, but we'll see how it works out for them. And the last big pipeline reveal they had was another obvious. It's Dreadwing from Transformers Prime. You know, it's going to be be a repaint, likely a new head sculpt retool of Skyquake. No shock there. I think it would have been more exciting to release one of the other, like, the more G1-y focused ones, like or like a Machine War Starscream or like the G1 Skyquake. But alas, we're going to go with this one instead. But this is obvious. It's not that this is a bad choice, it's just an obvious choice. So that was it for the presentation. We got a ton of stuff that's really worth looking forward to, but there was one little detail that people noticed. The packaging on the... Now keep in mind, so the two packs for Amazon, that is part of a capsule series, just like the Wreckers. There is another 2-pack that we're aware of. There is a Leader class toy and a Voyager class toy on the way. We are kind of speculating that the recently announced Nacelle is going to end up being the Voyager in that series. And then we're not sure what the other 2-pack is. My fingers are crossed that it actually includes the Wreckers top spin to finish that Wreckers set off, because it's still really weird they did Twin Twist but not top spin. I'm not really sure why they went that way. And I feel like any longer, and those molds are going to be they're going to be a little bit too much to release. But someone noticed something on the packaging of the two they showed. This silhouetted figure, which with its heavy proportions and its big segmented wings is very obviously a take on Nova Prime. I did mention that Nova Prime is one of those that seems like it could be really easy to do, but for some reason Hasbro hasn't done it yet. Well, I'm mistaken here. Nova Prime is now on the way, and that's most likely going to be the leader of the Amazon capsule. It looks like my speculation was correct. It looks like it's lined up to be a retool of Siege Optimus Prime's Leader class toy, complete with new wings and it seems like new armor, because there's a lot of different details in there that do not fit that Optimus Prime. I just thought it was an obvious choice. We have a winged Optimus Prime and a villain who is a winged Optimus Prime body. Put 2 and 2 together. So yeah, we got a lot to look forward to here. That's now everything that they announced and things they did not announce. So there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of good announcements in this one. And a lot we've already speculated on. But hey, it's nice to get confirmation. So that is it for me. That is my rundown and all of my thoughts on everything that is coming out. Thank you guys for watching. I know this has gone on a little bit longer than I intended, but I thank you for sticking through it. And hopefully I will see you next time.
Yeah, I guess I'll give Bardic to Pain. Pain, my #1 good best friend. You got this.
You're just basically like Caboose at this point.
Just like...
Oh, God.
That's... all right, let's keep this Pain train going. The Caboose is here.
Son of a bitch.
No.
And yeah,
this makes me Tucker. I'm quitting.
Joust, take 2 psychic damage.